Hey, I haven't played that in a long time. Hello, everybody. This is Hebro77. You are watching uh, the show entitled "Arming Ourselves." We got to arm ourselves up with the Holy Spirit. Because I think that in the end, the Holy Spirit is what you really got to look for when you need your strength, when you need your. It's much like I think like when Popeye needs his spinach. He doesn't turn to the Holy Spirit. Well, he might. We just don't know that, but he definitely uses his spinach. And I'm not comparing spinach to the Holy Spirit. I'm just saying in comparison to where we draw all of our strengths.
Yeah, I'm glad because I hate spinach, but I love the Holy Spirit. So I'm glad you're not comparing them two.
No, no, no.
But I get the analogy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Um, so Armor, how you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me on the Thursday, weekly show. Whatever this is. Thursday, Monday.
Yeah, Thirsty Thursday on a Monday.
There you go.
Well, you know what, man? I haven't done the Thirsty Thursday in a long time. I think everyone's wondering why, but the truth is, and I'll be completely honest with you, I haven't been feeling it here lately. I just haven't. I still do my Bible readings to myself, but
That's the most important thing.
yeah, I mean, but I feel like if I do have an important message that comes from my heart, I think I should share it with people
Yep, always.
if it's meant to be shared. There is some things that's told to you in private.
Yeah, you got to use discernment. Go with what the Spirit tells you to do. You can't always say everything you should because sometimes it just is meant for you. Took me a long time to figure that one out. Well, to learn it, I should say.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. We're gonna have a good show here today, I do believe. But I got to tell you something. I am feeling a shady bit tired. I did take a nap earlier.
However,
However, with that being said, I I ate a lot of pasta earlier, and I don't even know what kind of pasta it is really. It's something I bought while I was on vacation. We went to this Italian neighborhood, and I've got some footage, by the way, of that neighborhood. But um, it's really good pasta. I'll say that much for it, and I'm looking forward to sharing those clips and those videos. I We went into one store where the lady was nice enough. I asked her permission. I'm like, would it be cool if I filmed the inside of your store? She's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And it's a gelato store. You ever have gelato?
no, no.
No.
What is that? Is that like a jello pudding type thing?
Well, it's ice cream, but
Ah, ice cream. Okay.
it's a sort of ice cream. But it's not ice cream. It's
So it's sort of like a yogurt, or not a yogurt. What do they call that? Frozen yogurt? Yeah,
uh,
frozen yogurt, I guess. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, but it's different. I don't know how to explain it, man.
Well, send me some. Oh, never mind. It melt.
Yeah.
Drive me a cone over, brother. Hook a brother up.
Well, man, pretty
Well,
soon.
it'd melt till you drove here, too.
Mhm.
Darn.
Well, no, not if I kept it in my ice box,
Oh, yeah. There you go.
like they used to
Does
do.
it come in flavors like ice cream, like chocolate and
Oh yeah,
vanilla and strawberry?
oh yeah, yeah. My favorite, the one I tried over there was called amaretto flavor, and it was like a cherry sort of flavor. It didn't have amaretto in it. It was just like it tastes like amaretto.
Amaretto.
Mhm. Is that how you say it?
That's how I said it that time. I don't
Okay. But my favorite is mint chip. I love the mint chip, dude.
know. Ah, mint chip. It sounds good.
Hmm.
My wife loves the mint chocolate chip ice cream. Well, she likes a lot of different ice creams. That isn't like her favorite, but she likes that stuff. I can take it or leave it. It ain't bad. I like the mint chip. I'm a
See,
Rocky Road guy myself, though. If it comes to my
ooh,
favorite ice cream, Rocky Road, but it has to be Turkey Hill Rocky Road. They're the only ones that make it correctly.
Ah, I see. No, I would love to have some of that, man. It sounds good. What's it called again?
It's a creamery, local, sort of local. I mean, it spreads out a good bit through Pennsylvania, but not even all of Pennsylvania. It's Turkey Hill, it's the brand.
Oh, okay.
They make the best Rocky Road ever.
Oh,
I've tried all the different. I mean, I love Rocky Road, so I always try it when I see it. Yeah. I think it's just because their marshmallow is so creamy. You know, like most of your Rocky Roads, the marshmallows are sort of chunky, if you know what I mean. Sort of. I don't know how to explain it, but
yeah, they're not. They lose their consistency. Isn't that of marshmallow? Because marshmallow is more like thick and gooey kind of thing, you know.
right, and that's the way Turkey Hill is. It's like a thick, gooey, marshmallowy sauce almost mixed in it.
Man,
awesome.
That sounds really good. Well, you know, there's all kinds of like really cool flavors out there, and gelato is sort of just like a different kind of ice cream, I guess is what I was trying to get at. But it's hard to explain unless you've tried it.
Sherbet, that's the word I was trying to think of before.
Oh yeah, no, this is
sherbet.
This is way different. Sherbet's like kind of sugary free, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it sugary free? I don't know. I know it's just another form of an ice cream type thing.
Yeah.
That's why I thought of it.
Well, I mean, yeah, you have your sherbets, you have your frozen custard, you have your frozen yogurt. Yeah. I would say gelato's sort of like in the middle. It's in between all that.
Interesting.
So
I would definitely give it a whirl.
Give it a whirl it on your spoon, man. It's pretty delicious. Delicioso, as we like to say in the field.
Delicioso. It's magnifique.
Yeah, magnifique.
Magnifique.
Well, hey, man, I'm glad you're here, man. I'm glad we're doing this broadcast. I feel like there's a lot of questions that I have that go unanswered because more often than not, man, you know, you get indoctrinated your whole life with a minister or a preacher or a rabbi or a priest, you know, and you get taught one way, and then through the Holy Spirit, you find out that all of that stuff is just not all of it, but a lot of it's not true, man. It's not the true truth. You know what you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? The true truth.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So far, I found out about probably 95% of what I got taught in Sunday school and through the religions was wrong. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And it don't even have to, I mean, we're indoctrinated whether we are indoctrinated with a Christian type faith or just world. I mean, we're all indoctrinated with some type of, what would you call it, doctrine, I guess. Even if we're not religious, you're indoctrinated with a worldly doctrine. You know what I'm saying? You're indoctrinated with greed or just the ways of the world. Or you're indoctrinated with a false gospel. Or you're indoctrinated with, yeah. We're all indoctrinated in one form or another from birth. Which I think the whole parable of the guy who was blind by birth is all about. I think that thing's awesome when you realize what he's saying there. I did a video about it when I read that part of John. I forget what chapter that's in John, but I can freehand it here a little bit.
Oh yeah, man, that'd be cool.
I can't quote it directly, but you know the parable I'm talking about. The guy's blind from birth, and his disciples said to him, "Did he sin or did his parents sin that he was blind from birth?" And Jesus says, well, neither. He was blind from birth so the glory of my Father could shine through. Okay, again, that's a paraphrase. I don't have it open.
Right.
And
the way I always...
no, go ahead.
The way I always thought of it is like, my short interpretation was when Jesus said, or somebody in the crowd, it was either someone in the crowd or someone from a disciple said, "This man's been blind his whole life. He wouldn't know how to act if you gave him sight." And I'm just paraphrasing, of course, but it's like that's how he makes his living. And you know, I think he wanted to be able to see, but they didn't want him to be able to see. I don't know. Am I wrong?
I don't know. I don't recall that at all about them not wanting him to.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought they were saying stuff like, "Yeah, he's been blind his whole life. He wouldn't know how to act." You know, they were
No,
sort of.
not in John. I don't think anyway.
Oh, maybe that's a different one I'm thinking
It
about.
could be another somewhere in there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't recall. I'm not saying it ain't there. I could be wrong. I'm not.
Now, are we talking about the same blind guy? Or are we talking about the one Jesus healed with the mud?
No, this guy. See,
Oh,
this guy. I don't think got healed with the mud. Now you
okay.
got me wondering. But no, he's. I don't even know if it says how he got healed. Now I'm gonna have to try to find it so I can figure it out. The whole point of the parable, though, wasn't how he got healed. It was the fact that they asked him why was he blind,
Mm-hmm.
because of his sin or his parents' sin. And Jesus said neither. It was so the glory of my Father could be shown.
Mm,
It wasn't really about how he got healed. That's why I
right,
don't quite remember. I'm pretty sure that I know it ain't the same story of the guy where he spit in the mud, but I don't remember
right,
if he put mud in this guy or not. Honestly don't recall because that wasn't the point of the parable, so I didn't pay attention to that part really.
right.
I don't even know if it says. It might. I honestly don't know without going and looking it up. It's in John somewhere, beginning of John.
No, I was totally thinking about the other story where the guys were mocking him for being blind. Well, they weren't mocking him for being blind, but they were saying there ain't no way Jesus. He doesn't even want Jesus to heal him because he'd lose his way of making his money. That was his bread and butter of how he made his money. And they basically said they were mocking him in a way, saying, "Ah, you can't. We would like
Hmm.
to see this." You know what I mean? Like kind of like doubting Jesus.
I don't know. I have no clue where that's at. I would. I'd actually have to see that. Hmm. I don't know. Strange. Maybe that's a Catholic type thing. I don't know.
Oh, it could.
I wish you could figure out what scripture that was so I could look it up because I
Don't
can't
look.
think of any where they actually were mocking the healing.
Let's see
Now
here.
the Pharisees maybe, but
Yeah.
not the disciples. You said the disciples.
Oh, yeah. I might have said that, but I didn't mean that. I meant like the what do you call merchant? Not merchants.
The
Urchins.
Pharisees and Sadducees.
No. What were the people? The normal people that were just walking about. What would they be called?
Just the people. I don't know. I don't think they had a name. Just
Right.
you had your. If you mean the ones that weren't Jewish, the Gentiles.
Oh yeah, the Gentiles. Thank
But
you.
the
That's what I was thinking
but the
of.
Gentiles didn't really talk in the Bible.
Oh.
They're talked about, but I
Mhm.
mean, there was a few that spoke. There's a centurion. These people were all considered Gentiles, but
I see.
as far as yeah,
No, but the you know what, Armor? I think I got it from that movie.
okay, that sounds more like a movie thing. I can say I don't think anywhere in the Bible I recall reading anything like that.
Yeah, I think I might have got it from Jesus of Nazareth, where they're like they grabbed the guy and like take him to Jesus. Jesus will heal him, and then one guy goes, "He wouldn't be healed. He'd lose all his means of making his money." That's how they talk in the movie, because they're all British actors. So that's how he would lose his means of making his money. You know,
You think they could have tried for a better Jewish accent if he was going to play?
I know, right? I don't think the Jews talk like that.
Yo, Yves, no,
Uh-oh, your his mic cut out, guys.
I might cut out. No, I muted it for a second.
Oh, okay.
But anyhow, back to what I was saying about the deeper meaning of that whole parable. that most people don't even get. And it's so important. It's what the whole parable is about. Because when you ask people, I mean, even ask a preacher, what's that mean? Because it's still pretty, I mean, they ask him why the dude was born blind. Whose sin was it? You know, whose fault was it, basically? Was it his parents' fault or his fault? Which one of them sinned? Why were they basically cursed with this child who was born blind? Is what it boils down to. And he says, well, it wasn't their fault. It wasn't anybody's fault. It was so Father's glory could shine through. And ask your average preacher or priest or whatever you prefer what that means and see what they tell you. In fact, it'd be interesting to find out what they said about it. I'd have to read I should read a commentary on what some of the old people thought that verse was about. Because when I was reading John, and then I recap it after I read them, when I do my Bible readings, which I haven't done in a while because I've been doing the daily devotionals, but once they're done next July, I'll be through them all.
Next July.
I'll probably get back to Bible reading.
Uh-huh.
But when I read it, I'll read the chapter, and then I'll go back and sort of basically highlight some stuff, let the Spirit basically talk about what it wants to talk about in there. And I did that with that chapter, and it blew my mind what that parable was about.
Oh, wow.
And I'm the one that said what it was about, but most people don't get it. It wasn't really me saying what. Sometimes I like to listen to what I said because I don't really know, and it's interesting. When the Spirit takes over, you don't necessarily know what you're going to say is what it boils down to. And that was one of those occasions. It definitely wasn't me talking because I would never have thought about what that parable was about without the Spirit showing me what that parable was about. And it's amazing what that parable is about. It's about everybody. It's about us. It's about humanity.
I was getting ready to say, so now you've got me curious, man. You got my head a scratching now. Does that mean that everyone that was born with a disability, that they were born with that disability to have the Lord's light shine through them?
No. And that's probably 9 times out of 10 what a pastor would tell you if they would explain anything at all about that parable. But no, it has nothing to do with it. Like I said, it has to do with us. Everyone, every human being that's ever been born.
Okay.
We've all been born blind. Right. We've all been indoctrinated with something. That's why I thought of this, because we was talking about indoctrination and how we've all been indoctrinated with religion or something, at least. That's what that whole parable is about. We've all been born blind, and it wasn't our fault, and it wasn't our ancestors' fault. It was so that the glory of the Father can shine through when we come to Jesus Christ and he opens our eyes to the truth. That's what that whole parable is about. It's about the world. It's about everybody. We were all born blind through no fault of our own or our parents. It's just the way it was.
We were all born in sin.
Same type of principle. But Jesus straight out says it there. We were all born blind.
Okay.
For the Father's glory.
Yeah. That makes sense, brother. But you know what? I also got my head scratching on this note. Within that parable, and I know it's just it didn't mean, like, not everything is literal. But I which brings me to a question that maybe you can answer, maybe you can't, but most likely you probably can. You know, and I'm not trying to give you way too much credit here, but I know that you're more on top of these things than I am for sure. So, well, here it goes. So, you know, you talk about people who back then they thought if something was wrong with a person, it was the sins of the father or the sins of the mother that caused their kids to carry on that curse through their sins. So let me ask you this. Now, we're all going to leave this earth someday, whether it be today, tomorrow, next week, or 100 years from now, or even 50 years from now. And that scripture where it says the meek, where Jesus does his sermon, it says the meek shall inherit the earth. does that? I've always wondered if that means that people who are weak and they're meek, they're going to stay here on Earth while everyone else floats up into heaven, or is it that they're going to actually get a free ticket into heaven while everyone else suffers here on Earth?
Well, first of all, meek and weak are two different things, although that's a common. Most people think meek means weak, but
Okay.
it doesn't. In fact, you got to be pretty strong to be meek.
All right.
And that's part of the Beatitudes. My whole video, the what's it called? The character of my children. That's all about those Beatitudes. It talks about what that means. The meek shall inherit the earth. Let me. I got my notes here. Where do I have that wrote down when I did that video? Let me see what I wrote. Oh, here we go. Character of my children. Where's the meek part? This is what I again, this video was a video that was basically, in my opinion, I don't care who believes me or not, but was all totally done by the Holy Spirit. I was frantically writing notes. I got like 4 pages of notes that ended up being the character of my children video that I had to go around and figure out what all it was saying.
I got to.
Here's the part I wrote about the meat.
You come prepared, brother. I tell you what, you're not one that's going to be caught with his pants down.
No, hopefully.
Yeah.
But no, it's funny. I just had my notebook laying there, and so this is what I wrote about that part where it says the meek shall inherit the earth, because that's basically all it says. It's like one-liners. It says, he is meek, easily admitting when he's wrong, never trying to justify himself, always teachable and loving of others. So that's what the meek part means, according to what I was shown. Because then it goes into, he hungers and thirsts for righteousness, which is the next line about.
So inherit the earth. Inherit the earth. What does that mean? Inherit the earth. And I know you're not done with the meek thing yet, but
that's all I had for the meek thing. That's it.
Does it mean that they're going to inherit this current earth, or they're going to inherit the new earth?
Well, I don't know for sure, because I never asked. It definitely don't mean this earth, because this earth's history.
Yeah.
In fact, one of my daily devotionals coming up soon is about that. This earth's gone. This earth's. That's why people say we need to save the planet or save the world or something. Well, then you're going against God's will, because He tells us straight up this one's history. The quicker it's gone, the better, in my opinion. But luckily, He's long suffering and wishes none to perish. So be thankful, people. But either way, this world's gone. This earth is history. This earth's corrupt. This earth is not what it was meant to be. It's got to go. And that's quite obvious through the scriptures. So it definitely ain't this earth. Now, does he mean they'll inherit the new earth? Possibly. And that's why people, well, I got asked a trick question once, and then they turned it against me. I knew it was a trick question, although most people wouldn't have. So I answered truthfully to a trick question, and then he said, see, that proves you're a heretic and don't have Christ and all that. Yeah, they turned it against me, which was hilarious. But he asked me if I was sure I was, how did he put it? Oh, because I said it was something about why I didn't call myself a Christian or anything. And he said, well, what would you call yourself then? I said, well, I don't know. I said, if I had to pick something, I guess it'd be a son of God. I'm a son of God, because that's what he says I am. And he says, well, oh, that's what it was. It was the debate about once saved, always saved. That's who it was. It was that guy. And he said about, well, are you sure you're going to heaven? And I was like, no. And then he immediately lost his mind because I said I'm a son of God, but then I also say I'm not sure I'm going to heaven. See what I'm saying? He
Mm-hmm.
didn't get it because I know I'm a son of God. I don't care what anybody says. And if I have to call myself something, if they want a label, then that's the only one I'm going to use. I'm a son of God. That's what he told me I could be if I do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm trying to do what I'm supposed to do so I can be a son of God. So basically, if anything, I'm a son of God. But no, I don't know if I'm going to heaven. How could I answer if I'm going to heaven? Because, and this ties to the whole meek inheriting the earth thing. I'm not just wandering around here. Because I know there's going to be a new earth. And I know some people's going to be on the new earth and not in heaven. So I don't know where I'm going to end up, where the Father wants me to be when this is all done for eternity. Am I going to heaven? Maybe. I don't know. Am I going to the new earth? Maybe. I don't know. I'll be glad to be wherever he puts me because it's going to be amazing. You know what I mean? And if I have my choice, I would probably rather be on the new earth because I think it's going to be like the earth was supposed to be with animals and
Yeah.
nature. And I'd love to be able to just, I love animals. So I don't know if there's animals in heaven. You know what I mean? But I know there's animals on the new earth. Petting lions and just, man. So I think when it says they'll inherit the earth, I think it's talking about a new earth. And that's why when someone says to me, well, if you're a born again, Holy Ghost filled believer, which I know I am, I don't care what anybody says, how can I not be sure I'm going to heaven? Because I don't know where my final station's going to be. That's how I'm not sure if I'm going to heaven. It don't mean I don't believe in heaven. It don't mean it's not but it's a trick question to ask me something like that.
I see.
You see what I'm saying? I can't honestly say, oh yeah, I'm sure I'm going to heaven. No, I might be going to the new earth. I don't know. I might be going to a whole different place we don't even know about yet. I don't know. you know? But I know there's more than one place to go in the end. And am I sure I'm going to which one? No, I'm not sure. I just know I'm going wherever he's putting me. Be that heaven, new earth, whatever.
That always gets my head to scratching as well. When I hear about, like when I first heard about there's going to be a whole new earth, like he's going to wipe out this one, and there's going to be that, and then you'll have, being raised Catholic. This goes back into being indoctrinated. We always learned that there was a place called purgatory, and for some reason when I start thinking about purgatory, it makes me think of sort of like a waiting room in between heaven and hell, or it used to. But now when I think about that new earth, maybe people misinterpreted the word purgatory and to meaning like you're not going to heaven, you're not you're not going to go to hell, but you're not necessarily going to go to heaven. Maybe the new earth is purgatory that everyone talks about.
Well, purgatory, first of all, isn't in the Bible. It's definitely a Catholic teaching.
Right.
They draw that teaching from the story about the beggar and the rich man, Lazarus, the beggar, and the rich man. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
You know that parable?
Oh, I love
He's
that
outside
parable.
the rich man's house begging. The rich man basically mocks him, and they both die. And Lazarus, the beggar, is with Moses, or Abraham. Sorry, Abraham. It's called Abraham's bosom. Even the way it's taught. That's another parable they totally don't even comprehend. What they think it's about is it's about Jesus. It has nothing to do with a depiction of a heaven and hell, which is what it's used for by the Christians. Right. They see that proves there's a hell and it proves there's a heaven and it proves this and it proves that and then the Catholics turned it into a purgatory type thing. So I don't know. Either way, that again is not what that parable is all about. That parable is 100% about Jesus dying on the cross and resurrecting and people still not believing. That's why it says even if a dead man comes back, they won't believe. It has nothing to do with heaven and hell. It was a parable. You know what I mean? But I ain't even got time to get into that craziness. But purgatory, is basically, in my opinion, a non-biblical teaching. But it's sort of Like the Catholics teach, if someone you love dies and you know they weren't quite saved or good enough or whatever they call it to make it, you can still pray for them because they're in purgatory, and the more people that's praying for them, the better chance they are of getting out. I believe that's part of the Catholic stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right when you talk about that. That's
But nowhere in the Bible does Jesus talk about a purgatory in any way, shape, or form.
kind of how I like to look at it. Also, if you want to go down this road, is you've mentioned before that God knows no time. Like there's no time. Time doesn't exist. That's a human concept that we came up with. And if there is no time, if God is what's the word I'm looking for? Infinite. Um,
Yeah, omniscient.
yeah.
I believe that's the one that means outside of time. But either way, God don't do time.
So
God's outside of time. That's why he says stuff like, I know the beginning from the end.
mhm.
I predestined what was going to happen. That gets misunderstood a lot.
So, with that being said, it is possible for people to pray for someone after they've already died.
I personally think so. It's not in the Bible. I mean, I couldn't back it with scripture, but I just know the Father's outside of time, and I know he can do all kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know. I'm a firm believer in just because someone died, don't mean you don't pray, still pray that they make it, even if you feel that they didn't, sort of thing. Because I think Father can change their heart, not necessarily after their death, because it won't be after their death for him. See, this could be twisted into a weird teaching. I
Okay.
don't into a purgatory type teaching.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with a purgatory. I'm not going there. I'm saying
Okay.
the fact that we prayed for John Tuesday don't mean that he can't heal John 6 Wednesdays ago, which is still the present when he heals him, even though it's our past, because he's outside of time. You see what I'm saying?
Interesting.
It ain't like John's. Yeah, it ain't a purgatory type thing. It's a Father can do whatever he wants. He can change the past. He can change the future. He can change whatever he wants.
I tell you what, it's pretty cool when you think about it, man. It's almost like our minds cannot comprehend the things that God can actually do.
Yeah, it's beyond our comprehension. That's why mine's open to that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying it's true. I don't know. I'm just saying I don't hesitate to pray for someone even from the past, because I know my prayer now is talking to a Father who's way beyond time. My present and that person's past is still the same day to the Father, is what it boils down to. It don't matter to him. He don't see time that way. I believe I could pray for a great-great-grandfather. I could pray for whatever. I can pray for whatever, because it's still present to the Father. It's still there. We're the ones that see time. He doesn't.
Man, that's an awesome thing. And there, and there's a lot of people that don't see it, that don't see outside the box.
Yeah, true.
There's
Most
people
don't.
that can only see what's humanly possible, and they don't really think outside the box like you or I might do. And the thing is, where was I going with this? It had something to do with time. The way we perceive time, like, I don't want to get too much into it because this ain't a Taco Tuesday or a Shifty Sunday, so I'm not going to get into the whole time paradox thing. But it's kind of like, I forgot what I was going to say, but I will say this: on the new Earth, that would be kind of awesome if you went to the new Earth and you found out that all your pets that ever died are there. Like, that's where they reside. And like, you got clean water, clean air. Nothing means anything. In other words, I don't know. there seems like there would be no murder happening. There would be no violence. There would be no sort of there would be no evil, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's my idea, is that the new earth is paradise, what God promised.
Well, yeah, the new earth, there definitely ain't going to be any more sin or evil. That's the whole
Right.
point of the new earth. That's after judgment. That's when it's off. Yeah, that's after.
Hmm.
That's when we get glorified. That's the last step. That's when this is over. That's when the enemy finally gets removed.
I hope so.
Happy Feet Gal said, "What's my channel? Armor Up." Yep, that's it. No, I'm just joking. But that is the name. It is hard to find those sometimes.
Yeah, tell me about it.
They like to block it. I found that parable, and you're right. That is the one where he spit on the ground. Told
Oh,
him to go over and wash in the pool of Siloam.
yeah.
So, but yeah, nowhere in there does it say about anyone mocking him. I knew that wasn't part of that story.
Yeah, I guess I got that a little bit confused with the movie. So, yeah. But I can imagine. I mean, if you're an imaginative person, you could kind of imagine people sort of not believing in Jesus and not believing that he's going to heal them. And certainly, you can imagine, even though it's not written anywhere in the Bible, that people might have thought, well, shoot, if this blind guy becomes healed and he's able to see again, he won't be begging for money anymore, you know.
Yeah,
But
and that even plays into a bigger part of the parable because, like I said, it's about all of us. And yeah, once our eyes are open, once we see the truth, we ain't begging anymore. We ain't begging and scraping for everything this world has to offer because it's worthless. So that's an awesome another interpretation of that.
mhm, cool, cool, man. Well, hey, look,
Let me find a link for Miss
yeah, I was
Happy
going to
Feet
say
Gal.
go do that, and then
I will do that. Let me see. Copy link address. Let me pop that in the chat. This should be it. Sometimes I'm not good with links. Hopefully that takes you to the right channel. I tried
hey,
to put a link in for someone else in another chat the one day. It took them to the wrong place.
mm,
That should be my channel, I think. If it has that dude's icon, that's me.
and hey, it's I got a question for you.
And thank you, Happy Feet Gal, for asking, and God bless you too. Yes, brother. What's the question?
Oh, sorry, I didn't see the chat.
That's all right. I'd like to keep up.
Oh, I know. Yeah, and it's good to do that too, because then they know that you care. You know, you're paying
Yeah.
attention to them. It's hard to do sometimes, though. I mean, especially if you're if you're sharing something, you definitely can't see the chat.
Yeah, if you're in the share screen, forget it. You can't see the chat.
Yeah. But what was I gonna ask you?
I don't know. You didn't ask me yet.
Oh, true. Oh, about Shifty Sunday. Um, let me ask you this: that day that all the weirdness happened, did it finally go back to normal where you could see the whole show?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it did finally. It was like a week later or so, though. A lot
Wow,
later than normal. But yeah, I think I can see the whole thing now, last time I checked.
wow! It took it a week.
It took a long time.
Usually, it just takes about a day or so.
Yeah, sometimes a couple days. With a 4 hour show, maybe 2 or 3. But
Uh,
never a week.
yeah.
And I don't even know if the chat's still there the last time I looked.
Oh,
But the show was.
I'm wondering, man. Maybe there's some outside force that was preventing us to.
Yeah, who knows? I don't give him too much credit. Probably just internet related Google
Right.
crap.
No, I know. You don't want to give the enemy too much credit. He gets enough credit as it is.
Yeah, they want to blame everything on him.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to admit they might be reaping what they sowed. It's the devil's fault. Yeah, okay. Could be, maybe not. Maybe you're just bad.
Speaking of the devil, and this is, I was telling you about the devil earlier in our chat, and I have some pretty interesting questions about the devil because I looked it up online, of course. Um, Apparently, you remember those seven deadly sins we were talking about?
Yeah, and then I told you they also basically came from Catholic um,
Mhm.
teaching. Yep.
I looked up devil, the term devil, and it turns out they also give the seven deadly sins to seven. Apparently, there are seven devils
Right.
attached to the seven deadly sins.
Yep, I have heard that.
Hmm. And they all have names.
Yep.
Now, I know that we use the term devil a lot when we're talking about Satan, and there's even some people when they mean Satan, they're talking about Lucifer, and I'll get into all that here in a second. But um, I think the devil is sort of a blanketed term for the word evil, so much as God is a term for the word good. A lot of people, and what I noticed is if you remove, or I'm sorry, if you add one letter to the word God, you get good, and if you take away the D in devil, you get evil.
Yeah, you
So,
pointed that out in our chat, and that was, I never noticed that, but that's pretty cool.
yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. I think devil is more of a blanket term. It isn't an actual demon or fallen angel, in my opinion. I think it's more just like a blanket term. It can mean because in the scriptures even I think it's the one I think Matthew one of them says about maybe it's John when Jesus get baptized and led into the wilderness to be tempted of Satan.
Hmm.
And then in one of the other ones, it says to be tempted of the devil.
Hmm.
So I think devil, and also Jesus cast the devil out of him. My daughter has a devil. Please help her. You see what I'm saying? I
Hmm.
think the term devil is more used for any type of evil entity or spirit, including Satan and Lucifer or whatever. I mean, it's a blanket term. It's used in a lot of different situations. It isn't a specific thing.
You
Whereas I
see,
think Satan and Lucifer, Beelzebub, them types of things are more
right.
a specific entity.
You see that brings me about three things that I want to cover here today. And one of the things is when I think of devil, I think of just like a mischievous little imp guy who just runs around causing mischief wherever he goes. And I think of him as more like a lower demon class sort of thing. And
Right,
you know,
right. And that ain't even, I mean, he's not even that. Like I said, it's just a blanket term for all of that. The little
yeah.
ones, the big ones, the. He isn't
Hmm.
really an imp. He isn't anything. It's a term. It isn't a
Okay.
he or a it isn't a thing. It's a term. Whereas
Right.
the other ones are actual entities. I
Right.
don't think the devil is an entity. I think it's a term. Whereas I think Satan,
Okay.
Lucifer, those beings are entities.
Well, when you think of devil, you think of like they always say, "Oh, she's a sly little devil," or "He's a clever little devil," or
Right. Right.
it's like deviled eggs and deviled ham, you know, you know. Which I like deviled eggs, by the way. Um, I hope I'm not going to hell for that.
I doubt it.
Mhm.
And I think another good point is that's why it says resist the devil and he'll flee from you. Because
Ah,
it's everything. If it had said resist Satan and he'll flee from you, well, that's just Satan. Or
hmm,
resist Lucifer, he'll flee from you. Well, that's just Lucifer. No, it says resist the devil, which is everything evil. It's like, so I
ah,
mean, it's like a blanket term for everything evil. It's Satan, it's Lucifer, it's Beelzebub, it's lying, it's cheating. It's the devil is just like a term, like a blanket term for everything, in my opinion.
okay. Well, now with that being said, let me ask you this, Armor. You mentioned Lucifer and you mentioned Satan. I know that you know that I know that they're two separate entities. However, a lot of people think that Satan and Lucifer are the one and the same.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and the other thing before you answer any of this, just hear me out here. Um, a lot of people seem to think also that Lucifer is referred to the daughter of Satan because Lucy, like the name Lucy, is in the name Lucifer. And I found that interesting. I'd like you to sort of give your 2 cents on both of those things. The fact that they're two different entities, and if so, is Lucifer referring to the daughter of Satan?
Well, interesting. I wouldn't say Lucifer's the daughter of Satan. I've never really heard that. I have heard him called Lucy. It's just, I mean, yeah, it's symbolism. That don't mean male or female necessarily. Actually, I believe he's, well, that would be a whole thing in itself. We can't get into all that. But
Okay.
I definitely think they're different entities. Uh, just like I believe Beelzebub's a different entity, and Leviathan's a different entity, and Samael's a different entity, and I mean I could go on and on with the list of the fallen angel names that we do know, let alone all the ones we don't. We know a pile of angels fell,
Right.
led by Lucifer. He's the one that I look at it this way. And again, a lot of people believe they're the same being. It's cool. I've heard a lot of people comment. In fact, I even had a comment on one of my videos how Satan isn't even a being. It's just a term for an adversary. So some people don't even think Satan is a being. They think it's more like a devil term, which I don't agree with. But, you know, whatever you want to believe is up to you. It don't matter. As long as you realize Satan's bad. It don't matter if you realize he's an actual entity or not. I mean, it sort of does because it makes it easier to understand all kind of stuff that's going on in the Bible, and especially the Old Testament, and why I think what I think about that stuff back there, because I think Lucifer and Satan were both at play in the Old Testament the whole way through it, and I think that's what confuses everything. But Lucifer, first of all, we know is the one who wanted to set himself up to be God. Basically, he's the
Right.
one that said, I'm taking over, I'm putting my throne up higher, people's going to worship me. I mean, I'd have to go to quote the exact thing, but he's the one that I will. All through the story of Lucifer, which is only one place in the Bible is Lucifer mentioned by name. He's only mentioned once. In fact, let me just look it up quick. It ain't that hard. Give me 1 second here.
All right.
Let me just, because he's only mentioned once. I might as well just read
Hit-
what it says about Lucifer. That way it'll help you, will help everybody understand
After-
why I think he's not Satan. Okay, that's Isaiah 14. Close that. Isaiah 14. Okay. We'll start at Isaiah chapter 14, starting at verse. Where do I want to start? I guess we'll start at. Wow, what's that weird noise? We'll start at verse 12. And you'll see a lot of people call this the I wills. I forget how many there is, like 7 or 11 or something. We'll see. We're going through it here. But this is the I wills, people say. This is, when you hear them talking about the I wills, this is what they're talking about. So Isaiah 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? Now, another thing to remember here, quickly, is Lucifer's only in our English, Lucifer came from the Latin. So in Hebrew, the word wasn't Lucifer. I forget exactly what it was now, but it wasn't Lucifer. Lucifer actually comes from the Latin, and they use the same word for Venus because of the morning star. Lucifer means morning star. So that's why in our versions, almost all the English versions, it says Lucifer here. But the original text didn't say the word Lucifer. It used a different word, which I don't remember at the moment. But, okay. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? Morning star. hence why they use Lucifer. How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? And here's where we get into the I wills. This is what Lucifer did. This is what we know about Lucifer from the text we have. This is his characteristics. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. A lot of I wills. He will do all this. Pride. Lucifer is a symbol of pride and of self, which unfortunately is what New Age teaches. Self. It's all about your higher self, your inner self, your good self. It's all about, it's the same teaching. It's the same thing Lucifer did. That's why I'm trying to point out the evilness of the New Age, because people don't understand. It's Lucifer. It's about pride. It's about self. You don't need Jesus. You got it in you. You're good. No, you're not. You're not. So Lucifer is pride, it's self, it's envy. He will be like the Most High. All that is a Lucifer type entity, a type spirit. Pride, self, envy, arrogance, that type of thing. That's Lucifer. And it's right there. He's the one who said he was going to be God, basically. He said he was going to set himself up to be God. He was going to sit up on the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Means he's going to be the one they worship. He's going to get all the praise. He's basically going to replace the Father. That's what Lucifer did. And then it says, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They shall see thee, narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, is this the man? So this is an entity. This isn't just this is a being. Is this the man that made earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? So that's the being Lucifer, as much as we know about him in the book we got.
Okay.
Now, when you look up Satan, Satan is all through the Bible.
Mm.
And he has different characteristics, although they're both evil. I'm not saying one's better than the other. A lot of people like to try to twist this and say, oh, you're preaching a Luciferian doctrine. No, I don't believe Satan was the guy who came to save us from the evil god Lucifer, which is what the Luciferians believe, or the Satanists believe, I mean.
What?
They believe Satan and the snake. They believe the garden, the snake, was the good guy. And that the Father, the God, the Elohim, the Creator, was the bad guy. Man, because of what I believe, they try to twist what I believe into that. That is not what I believe. I do not believe Satan was a good guy. I do believe Lucifer had already set himself up to be God. But that's a whole deep, different subject. If you want to get into that, I got over an hour video called Who Do You Serve? It caused a lot of strife and ripples through the community. So go check that out. You'll understand what I mean and why I think they're different beings. Well, I know they're different beings because they have different, what do you call it? Traits, characteristics. They're not the same being, according to what we read. This is what Lucifer is. He's pride, he's arrogance, he's envy, he's self. He thinks he can be God. Okay? That's who Lucifer is. And that's always who he'll be. And that's what he got in trouble for. And that's why he got thrown out. Because of that. Now Satan, when we look at Satan, and let me just pull up some verses about Satan here.
Okay.
So you can see what I'm saying. Satan. Okay, now Satan, and first of all, Satan comes from Hebrew. Again, Lucifer came from Latin. Satan comes from Hebrew, and they're not the same word in Hebrew. Even the word they translated into Latin from Hebrew isn't the same as the Hebrew word they translate to Satan. And Satan is more like The term means like an enemy, an adversary. And the traits we see about Satan is he is a tempter. He likes to question God. See, Lucifer said he's going to be God. He wasn't a tempter. He wasn't trying to tempt anyone. You see what I'm saying? He was just all about him. Satan, however, is a tempter. Satan is all about lies and deceit. And we learn about Satan. I mean, one of the most famous places Satan's known about is Job. We all know about Job.
Oh, yeah.
There came the day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. So they're using a different word here, which first of all should be a clue it's not the same entity. Like I said, Lucifer's only mentioned once, and that's when he set himself up to be God and fell from heaven. Satan's mentioned all over the place. Satan's busy little guy. Satan, in fact, it says here, the Lord said unto Satan, where are you coming from? What you been up to? And Satan says, oh, from walking around in the earth and walking up and down on it. And you're like, I'm just wandering around. Jesus said Satan's roaming around like a lion, seeking whom he can devour. He warned them that Peter, Satan's asked to shift you like wheat. I pray your faith is strong. Satan's more active in the world. Lucifer don't care. Okay. Lucifer could care less about this world. He wants to be God. He wants worship. He wants praise. He wants people thinking he is the Father. And he's good. He worked. He's got billions thinking he's the Father. Unfortunately. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. Problem is, most preachers and church people don't know. They keep on worshiping, thinking he's the Father, and he ain't the Father. Jesus told him, you worship your father, the devil. And he didn't mean Satan then. He meant Lucifer. But anyhow. So Satan is more a tempter. He's an enemy. He's an adversary. And we know that because, like I said, we read about him in Job. And he says, Satan answered the Lord, I've just been hanging out in the earth, messing with it, walking around, doing stuff. When Jesus went to be tempted in the garden, who took him? Who tempted him? Satan. Not Lucifer. Satan tempted him. Satan is the tempter. Satan's always the tempter. The Garden of Eve. Who was the snake? Who tempted him? Satan. Surely you'll be like gods. See, he didn't say he would be God.
Right.
There's a difference. They're two different entities.
Here's the thing. I'm going to cut you off for just 1 second because I just want to say that it always confused me when I read the Bible and got to Genesis, and here Satan is already in the garden when, and this is back when I thought Satan and Lucifer were two of the same, and I thought, well, how could he already be at in the garden at the beginning if in the beginning he was an angel that was fallen? See, so that always confused me. But knowing that it wasn't him, it was a different entity that tried to take over God's throne and tried to, because he was, one of them was jealous. It was Satan that was jealous of humans, right? It wasn't Lucifer.
Well, yeah. I mean, sort of jealous of humans, I guess you could say. I mean, some say Lucifer fell because we got created and Father set us above the angels, and Lucifer's like, nah, I ain't worshiping that. I'm gonna be God. Some say that's when he fell. I don't know. This is all speculation on their part. But some say that's what caused the fall, because there's no doubt we were made above the angels, because it says we would judge angels, and we can't judge something that's over us. Right. So, and some say that Father expected them to worship us, which, Father, really? You see what I mean? I don't know. I can't buy into all that. I'm not saying it ain't true. I'm not saying it is. I don't know. I didn't question. All I know is Satan fell for wanting to be God, or Lucifer fell for wanting to be God, and Satan tries to keep us away from God. He's a tempter. They're not the same entity. How they fell, why they fell, what caused it in the beginning, I don't know. Was it jealousy of us? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
But are the two working together?
Well, here's the thing.
However,
However, here's the thing. Now, like I said, it ain't just them two that fell. We got to keep that in mind. They're not the only two entities at play in the picture.
okay,
There's lots of enemies at play in the picture. They're all evil. They're all against the Father, but they're not all the same. And they're not all necessarily working with each other, although they're all working against the Father. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
They still don't necessarily all agree on it.
It seems like
Lucifer wants to be God.
Mm-hmm.
Satan don't want to worship nothing
Right.
and wants to lead everything astray. So he's not really working for Lucifer
Okay.
because he ain't trying to get you to worship Lucifer. He's just trying to get you not to worship the Father.
So
He don't care if you worship spaghetti, a game. He don't care what you worship.
okay.
Yourself, whatever, as long as it ain't the Father. So he
Right.
ain't working for Lucifer, or he'd be trying to get us to worship Lucifer, who has
Right.
set himself up to be the Father, and who a lot of people are worshiping, whether they know it or not. So they're
Yeah.
definitely not necessarily working together.
Right.
Are they working at times with creating illusions together? Possibly. I think the Garden of Eden, they sort of work together. I think Cain and Abel, they sort of work together. There's times when you can see, I don't know if they're working together or their plans just happen to be going in the same direction at that time. Might be an easier way to say it. Because like I said, Satan don't care about nothing except making sure you don't worship the Father. He don't care whatever else you're doing. He don't care. He don't even care if you're worshiping nothing. He don't care. As long as you're not seeking Jesus Christ and worshiping the Father, that's all he cares about. For whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't understand their mindsets. I'm not going to try to say it's because he's jealous. I don't know. I just know what he does. I don't know why he's doing it. You'd have to ask Satan. And he's
Okay.
probably going to lie because he's the father of lies. So you're probably not going to know even if you ask him. So, but either way, I can tell you what he does. So you can watch out for it. Who cares why he's doing what he's doing? It's more important to know what he's doing so we don't fall into the trap.
Right.
Who knows why Lucifer decided he thought he could be God? All we need to know is Lucifer thinks he's God, and you might be worshiping him. You might want to check out who you follow, as my video says. Who do you serve? Because you might be serving the wrong one and not know it. Because we're told right there, he sets himself up to be God. And he gets in trouble for it. He gets thrown out. But he still has set himself up to be God. It don't say that ended. That just said what his punishment was. Do you see what I'm saying?
So he could still very well try.
We absolutely is still setting himself up to be Father. Like I said, I know billions of people that worship him and call him God and think they're worshiping the Father. Jesus is Father. They're not, but they think they are. He's good at what he does. He's very good at what he does. He's got lots of people worshiping and calling him Yahweh and Father and Jehovah, and he's got them calling him. They think he is God. They don't understand that he isn't. They think he is. Even Jesus said, they're going to torture you. They're going to do all kinds of things to you if you follow me. And the bad part is, they're truly going to believe they're doing it for the Father. They're not. They're doing it for the fake Father, Lucifer, the one that set himself up to be the Father. Even Jesus knew that. He tried to tell us. They're really going to believe they're working for the Father as they're killing you, who are born again son of the Father. As they kill me. Not me, Jesus. Jesus said, just like they're killing me, the true Son of God, Jesus said. They think they're doing it for the Father. The Pharisees and Sadducees truly thought they were serving the real God. Well, obviously they weren't, because they murdered his son. You see what I'm saying? They were serving exactly who Jesus told them they were serving, their father, the devil. They weren't serving God. They thought they were. They had all the rituals. They thought they were, but they weren't. And the same thing goes on nowadays. In the Pentecost, and I ain't saying it's just the Jewish people. It's the Pentecostals. It's the Catholics. It's all these people thinking they're serving the Father, and they don't even know who the Father is. They're serving the fake God. They're serving Lucifer. I mean, that's that's hours and hours we could talk about that. So suffice it to say, Lucifer's strong and at work in the world today, but he isn't Satan. Satan is a whole different entity. Satan don't care if you worship Lucifer as long as you don't worship the Father. He don't care if you worship nothing. He don't care as long as you don't worship the Father. He just don't want you to find the truth.
Ooh.
He's a father of lies. You know.
Man, you come here today armored up for sure, man. You you got the armor on, and you are using it. I can tell.
Well, I'm just trying to
yeah.
explain why I think they're different people or entities. I mean, there's no word to use, but entities, I guess, the closest thing. There's no doubt in my mind they're different entities. It's obvious. Anyone that reads and looks, it's obvious.
You would think also you would think that the two would be against each other, sort of like they would have so much pride. Like one would have the pride, and then one would have the jealousy or whatever, and they would be sort of fighting against each other. If they're not fighting for the same goal, then you would think they'd be against each other. And if they are fighting for the same goal, you'd think they would work together to try to reach that goal. You know what I'm saying?
It's more like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type thing.
Mm.
They're friends. They fell together. They're all fallen angels. They all fell together. But they don't all have the same goal. But they're not necessarily fighting each other. Because Lucifer is the prideful, envious one. So as long as Satan don't say, I think I'm going to be God today, Lucifer could care less what Satan's doing. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
He's prideful. As long as you're willing to not interfere with the people who's worshiping me, I don't care what you're doing. Why would I care what you're doing? You go against the Father however you want. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're not fighting the same battle because they don't have the same goal. Every once in a while they cross paths because they're all evil and they all hate the Father. And if Lucifer can get Satan to convince you of a lie so that you keep believing Lucifer's the Father, sure, they'll work together. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not always. It ain't like the evil in the world is in many forms and many entities and many things, and it's all bad. It all keeps you from the Father. But it ain't like as organized as they'd like people to think. It is organized, don't get me wrong. There is archdemons in there's what I consider like crown princes of hell. Then you've got your kings, your evil kings. They do have hierarchies, but
well, I like to think of them as like generals, like a military sort of setup where there's like, you got your private and your sergeant, your lieutenant, and so forth and so on. And I would like to think that they have sort of that kind of militant type setup, and where you have Lucifer, who wants to take over the world, so to speak, wants to be God, and then you got Satan, who doesn't necessarily want to be God, but he just wants to F stuff up,
Well, Lucifer don't really want to take over the world. He wants to take over the spirit, the spiritual. He don't really care about this world. That's where Satan comes in. See, that's why. So I mean, the two get mixed up so much. Lucifer could care less about this planet, this earth. He cares about the spiritual. He wants to be God. That's a spiritual. God is spirit, and we worship him in spirit. It has nothing to do with the flesh, the earth.
Right.
That's Lucifer's domain. That's what he cares about. Getting your spirit, getting your soul, whatever you want to call it. He wants you worshiping him. Satan is the one who wants you. He's more, if any of them care more about the physical, the earthly, I would say that would be Satan. Because he's the one that offers all the kingdoms of the world to Jesus on the mount. He's more a worldly based entity. He leads you with lust and temptations and worldly things. Lucifer, he'll give you worldly things. He'll perform miracles in your life and give you stuff just like the Father would to keep you believing he's the good guy. You see what I'm saying? But he don't care about the worldly things. He cares about the spiritual. He wants your spirit. Satan just wants you confused and worshiping worldly stuff and craving worldly stuff. Sort of hard to explain, but like I said, if you study it, it's quite obvious they're different type entities. And like I said, and there's thousands, millions, billions, we don't know how many more. I mean, if we do deeper studies, we know there's other ones like Samael and Azazel, and I could go through and give lots of different names. There's Pyman, there's Bilal, there's Balaam, there's Person, Zagon, there's Asmodee, there's so many of them that all influence in different ways.
Well,
and depending on what language you're using, those names can be different. Like, for instance, Paimon. Just because I use the name Paimon, who is a master of influence, for instance, he controls like your minds and your thoughts. He's only called Paimon in Hebrew. You see what I'm saying? So he's got a different name in the Greek. He's got, so all these, there's so many names for these things. You couldn't begin to name them all. But they all have their own little area of expertise, shall we say. I mean, there's the ones who taught abortion. There's the ones who taught herbs. There's the ones who taught warfare. There's the one. They all have their own little aspects. But it ain't really a hierarchy type thing. Because they're all fallen angels. It ain't like, that's what I mean. It ain't really a rank system like we think of a rank system.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're all powerful. They're all angels. They all have the same amount of stuff. It ain't like one's stronger than the other. They just are stronger in different areas. This dude's into warfare. This one's into abortion. This one's into herbs and spells. This one's into necromancy. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So they don't necessarily fight because they're not after the same stuff, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Satan will be happy to help Lucifer. The ones that are into witchcraft will be happy to help the abortionists. It don't matter because it all goes against the Father. So they'll work together, but they're not necessarily even working together. Their paths just cross. They're all evil. So evil creates evil. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It ain't like they're an organized giant army, although they are very organized. And like I said, there's no way to explain this. You can't explain this.
Okay. Well, no, I
just that there's lots of them, and there ain't just one evil. There's lots of evil. There's Satan. There's Lucifer. There's Beelzebub. Like I could name hundreds, and we still don't even know a quarter of them probably. There's lots.
Well, I gotta say, man, you've tackled a lot within just that one. What do you call it? Subject. All in that one subject. You covered quite a bit. I can't even begin.
Yeah,
I don't know where to begin.
And that's what I mean. And that ain't even scratching the surface if you want to start digging into that kind of stuff. That's what I mean. It's impossible to just explain it. I mean, I could tell you why I don't think they're the same entity, which I think I did. They have different characteristics, they do different things. But to get into are they working together? Are they hard? I mean, that's a whole friggin' that will take decades. That takes years of study to even begin to comprehend
I don't
that
think we
kind
have
of
that kind of
stuff.
time.
Exactly.
No, but I will say this. I bring all this up because number one, it's interesting, and number two, I think that being informed, I'm definitely a huge believer that information is power. If you keep yourself informed, it's sort of a way, sort of how we keep ourselves armed against evil. And I do like to know who my enemy is and who I'm supposed to be fighting for, or I mean, fighting against and fighting for. I definitely know who I'm supposed to be fighting for, but I'm saying, like, I think it's a good thing that we know this stuff and we know about these people because the more we know, it seems like the more power we have against fighting evil. Like, I don't know how to explain it. For example, like a guy hires you to do a job and you don't know anything about the job. Let's say some guy wants drywall put up in his house, and he says, "Hey, I want you to put drywall up in my house." And you say, "Well, I don't know anything about drywalling." And he said, "Well, that's okay because I got the tools. Here's all the tools you'll ever need. Now get to work on that drywall." Well, you can have all the tools in the world, but if you don't know what you're doing, those tools are completely useless. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I mean. We can't get too caught up in names because that could be a distraction. Jesus, if we got it boils back down to the armor of God. We got the shield of faith to quench all the fiery darts of the enemy. That's all the enemy. That's no matter what their name was, no matter what their tactic is, no matter who it is that's coming against us from that side, we quench them. We don't have to know their name. We don't have to necessarily know that, oh, I'm being attacked with my mind, so that's Paimon in the Hebrew. Or my emotions are getting the better of me, that's Baleth in the Hebrew. Or I'm too self-reliant, and that's Belial in the Hebrew. I mean, we don't have to know that deeper kind of stuff to defeat it. All we
Okay.
got to know is, hey, my mind's, Jesus says, take our thoughts captive. I need to keep my eyes on things above. We don't have
Right.
to need to know who caused our mind to stray that way. We can call it the devil. We can call it Satan. We can call it whatever they call it. It ain't important. It's important to know that evil's doing it. It's the enemy. That's why you hear me say almost all the time, the enemy. I
Right.
seldom say Satan. I seldom say Lucifer. I just say the enemy because it's the
That
enemy.
covers.
It don't
That
matter
covers.
which one of the enemies. It's the enemy.
Right. That pretty much covers it all. When you just like evil. Just
Right.
it's all evil. But here's the thing, and I know this is going to come off as being like I'm stupid or something, but I always thought, and this is what I used to think. I'm not quite sure what to think now, but I always thought somehow that if you knew the enemy's name, that somehow that takes the power away from them by
Well,
knowing.
see, that comes from Hollywood and the movies. Because
Oh,
if you look at all the exorcism, tell me your name, demon, tell me your name. You know, they're all about knowing their name. When Jesus cast out a demon, and I will get to the verse they like to throw up to show me that he did ask for a name. Jesus didn't ask for names. He says, get out. You get out. You know what I mean? He didn't come saying, tell me your name, demon. When Tabitha, or not Tabitha, that was the one that died. But when the lady came and said, my little girl has a devil, please come help her. And he came and helped. He didn't ask the devil's name. He didn't do any of that. He just tells it to get out. So
true.
Hollywood has you thinking you need a name. Now, the biblical people, when you say that, will say, oh, no, wait a minute there, buddy. When he got off the boat and that crazy guy was in the graveyard cutting himself and ran to him full of, full of a devil, the whole pig story,
Hmm.
Jesus asked him, what is your name? And he said, I am Legion, for we are many. So they say, see, even Jesus asked for a name. But they fail to comprehend why Jesus asked for a name. They again, most people read that book and they don't even bother asking the Spirit what it means, because if they did, they would understand, because that's the only way I know what it means. It ain't like I'm a great scholar. No, I ask the Spirit when I see something. I'll be like, whoa, what's that mean? I don't get it. And then you wait and you learn. That's how this works. That's how I learn this stuff. It ain't because I'm great. No, it's because he is. And I'm willing to seek and find and ask and receive. I do what he says to do. He does what he says he's going to do. It's a simple thing. People don't want to do it. So I don't know any of this. I didn't make this stuff up in my head. No, I asked, and he showed me. And it takes time. But with that parable, because that's what I thought. Well, even Jesus asked for a name. So I went and I was like, Spirit, even Jesus asked for a name here. I don't get it. We don't have to know their name. Why did he ask for a name? Because I didn't know. So I'm going to go find out from the only one that can tell me. And that's the Holy Spirit. Man can't tell me. They could tell me something, but probably ain't going to be right. So I go to the Spirit. And when I did that a year or two ago, the Spirit said, all right, let me show you. If you look at that story, well, hold on. Let me just pull it up.
All right. Yeah, that's the best thing to
Legion.
do. You got it right there in front of you. You say, I don't even have.
That's Mark 5. Let me get up to Mark 5. Mark 5. Okay. Now, here's how this story goes. And if we don't pay attention to the story, we don't even begin to comprehend about why he asked for a name. And Michael, I'm not sure what name I said. I said a bunch of names there, so you have to be a little more specific. And I can tell you how to spell it. So, yeah, hit me back up in the chat. Okay, now here's the story. And when he was come out of the ship, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs. You know, they couldn't bind him. La-di-di-di-da. He was super strong. He was cutting himself. All that kind of stuff. When he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshipped him, and cried with a loud voice and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? Torment me not. Now, here's what everybody misses. And why he asked for a name. He said on 4. Okay, so this is before what we just read. Okay, because it says, For he said unto him. So in other words, he cried with a loud voice and says, What do I have to do with thee, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou not torment me not. That was before, after Jesus said, because it says 4. See what I'm saying? In other words, Jesus said this, and then that's what happened. Jesus said unto him, Come out of the man, you unclean spirit. Just like he normally did every other time. And it normally came out. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But something different happened this time. Because every other time Jesus said, Come out of the man, or come out of the girl, come out of the boy, be gone. It was gone. This time it wasn't, because it cried out with a loud voice and said, What have I to do with thee, Jesus? So Jesus was like, wait a minute. Something's going on here, because the spirits listen to me. I told that spirit to go. It's gone. So what's answering me now? See what I'm saying? Jesus knew something was up. Although most people who read this don't even understand what's going on. And then it says he asked him, What's your name? And then he answered and said, My name's Legion, for we are many. Jesus cast out a unclean spirit. This guy had many unclean spirits. That's why he asked, "What is thy name?" He knew the spirit he already cast out was gone. So who's still in there? And how many? He, it would have been easier for us to understand if he had said, "How many are you?" Because that's basically what he was asking.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knew there had to be more than one. Because he was still had unclean spirits. And he had just cast one out. So he said, "What's your name?" And it said, "Oh, we're Legion because we're many."
Oh, the number.
And then he cast them all out.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? He didn't ask for a name because he couldn't cast it out without a name. He asked for a name so he can know how many he has to cast out.
Oh,
There's a difference. Most people don't see that.
I got you. Now, is that the same ones where he cast them out and then he put all those demons that he cast out into pigs?
Yeah, they said, "Send us into the swine."
Yeah.
And he says, all right, he gave them leave. He said, "All right, go to the swine." And the unclean spirits went out. See, it becomes plural there. Jesus realized he wasn't dealing with a spirit because he cast out a spirit, but there was still, the dude still had problems. Get it? So he knew, okay, hold on. What's your name? How many are, who are you guys? How many of you are you? How many? Oh, we're Legion. We're many. Oh, okay. Well, then all of you out. He didn't name each spirit. He just said, okay, everybody out of the pool.
Yeah.
And the unclean spirits went out.
Cool.
They entered into the swine. They ran over the cliff, ran into the sea, and died. We all know that part. About 2,000. This dude had about 2,000 spirits. That's the point of that story. Not that he needed a name.
Dang.
That he casted out 2,000 spirits with a word. Just like we can. It was again to show us the power we have over these. Their name don't matter. We can cast them all out. Just like I was saying earlier. All the enemy. Whatever the enemy, whichever enemy that is today. Beelzebub, Lucifer, Satan, Leviathan, Pride, whatever. We got power over it. We don't need its name. We just need to tell it to get out. It's a trick of the enemy to make you think you need a name. You don't need a name. You got power over all of them. Whatever their name is. All of them. They obey the name of Jesus. Every single one of them. I don't care if it's Buddha. I don't care if it's what's the CERN lady? Shiva.
Yeah, Shiva.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care who it is. I don't care what that god's calling itself, Zeus, whatever. It don't matter who it is. We don't need to know about it because their name's different depending on your language. So
True.
you
Yeah.
can never possibly know the name. It's a trick. It's a lie. It don't matter. Sometimes we're showed names for whatever reason, but we don't have to have a name. Now, if you're working the dark side, like I used to do, well, then it's good to know the names. Because let's say, for instance, I want to call down an illusion, or like a glam, like I want to make someone see something that isn't really there. Then I would have to call on Zagon, in the Hebrew. Now, again, many different names in many different tongues. If I wanted to learn a secret about somebody, if I wanted some inside information or some spiritual knowledge so I could use it against somebody, I'm going to call on Asmodee. See, on the dark side, you need a name.
Okay.
On the light side, their name means nothing because they all are subject to the name of Jesus Christ.
Awesome. Awesome, dude. That's something that I've always wondered because, like I said earlier on in the conversation, I was talking about, I sort of get all of my information, as I'm sure a lot of people do, from the movies when they see, like, the priest. Who are you? What's your name? Yeah, as though somehow that gives us power over the demons. But what people don't know is we actually do have power over the demons without even knowing what their name is. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't give the power comes when, like you said, from the dark side, when you have to know their name because you have to know who to ask do a certain task.
Yeah, how are you going to summon the one you need if you don't know the one you need? You have to know the name so you can summon the proper one to do what you want done.
Right.
But yeah, but see, the only name that matters is the name of Jesus. Their name don't mean anything. His name means everything. That's the only name that matters. The rest of it's all a lie and a fairy tale and crap. Quite bluntly, it's a bunch of crap.
Okay.
It don't matter. You don't need a name. You got a name. The only name you need is Jesus Christ. That's the name you need.
Well, I got to tell you something. We got Sagittarius speaking popped on here. Now, what I would like
cool.
It's not cool, man. It's not cool.
That's cool.
No,
you mean
no.
It ain't cool.
Saggy is no. I'm just kidding. I can't sit here with this charade anymore. He is cool. You're right.
We love the Sag.
Hey, you ever?
What did he say? He sent an illustration to Hangouts that depicts when.
Where'd you see that?
In the chat, he says something about. I sent an illustration to Hangouts that depicts when that happened. I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Maybe he'll explain more in detail here in a second.
And I better look up and see if. Oh, Michael Fontaine. He said that name. I think you mean the Paimon. And again, these are just the Hebrewish names for these particular demons. These are actually fallen angels, not demons. That's a whole different thing too. Demons and fallen angels aren't the same thing. That gets. Oh yeah, they're very different beings with very different powers. Paimon is Paimon. Paimon. That's one of them. Pai. It may be Paimon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing. I don't speak Hebrew. I call him Paimon. It may be Paimon.
It sounds so much cooler.
He's the one that messes with your thoughts and your mind.
It sounds like almost like a demon from Jamaica.
Yeah, man. I'm Paimon. It's all good, man. You're not Iman. You worship, man. You have the ganja, man.
Right.
Yeah, Paimon messes with your mind and your thoughts. But again, he's not the only one that does it. He's just the leader of that group, basically.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Saggy says what he was talking about, he's got an illustration when Jesus cast out Legion.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and again, that had nothing to do with him needing a name, because their name wasn't Legion. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It ain't like he got a name. It ain't like they make it seem like, I need your name. Oh, I am Asmodee from the... he's Asmodee. Cast out Asmodee. No, they just said, we're Legion. We're many. He never really got a name either way, so I still don't understand how they twist that into it.
That's
about 2,000, it says.
Wow.
So it ain't no wonder that dude was super strong and crazy and cutting himself. And you see that a lot today. I mean, I notice. And I don't want to get too personal because I don't want any of my family to get upset if I talk about them, but the cutting demon is pretty prevalent. A lot of the kids get into drugs, get hooked on things, and you'll notice they start cutting themselves. That's a demon, man. It's a sure sign. I mean, even back in those days, that dude was hanging out in the graveyard cutting himself, it said. That they do that today. It's sad.
Oh, you just reminded me of another sort of movie type thing. I always used to think that we needed sort of like an old Native American guy to come to your house and open up your windows and burn some sage and say a few mumbo jumbo words, and that would cast out demons. However, with that being said, now I know better. Now I know all you really truly need is Jesus, the help of Jesus to cast out demons. You don't need all that mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, Jesus just said how to do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We just seen how he does it. Jesus said unto him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." Period. It's it. There's no rituals. There's no. Now, agreed. Trust me, when hopefully you never do, but if you truly come across someone who needs delivered and really has a demon, when you say that, that don't mean nothing's going to happen. it, stuff happens. I mean, crazy stuff can happen. Just, be prepared if you get called into a deliverance ministry and you're actually casting out demons, because it's real and it goes on nowadays. And they might start throwing up, they might start screaming, they might start flopping on the ground. Stuff happens. But that's all you do. There is no, come out. In the name of Jesus Christ, come out. You're not welcome here. Get out. That's why I say the enemy constantly attacks, especially when you're on this path. But so I say, it's just like little gnats anymore. It's like, yeah, whatever, be gone. I'm done with you. You got me for a few seconds. Get out. I'm done playing. It's not a fight, really. It's just kick them out. When people come for prayer, and I try to tell them, I'll pray for you, but why don't you just kick them out? If you're sick, why don't you just kick it out? If your marriage ain't good, why don't you just kick out the demon that's making it? You got to do this. Kick them out. I've been practicing. The one lady for years I've been trying to explain to her, and she's a prayer warrior. She prays. She's on the right track, but she still doesn't understand the power she got. She's always calling and says, "I need help. I'm in a battle with this. I'm in a battle with." And I'll pray and I'll cast, I'll tell it to get out, leave her alone. And I'm like, dude, you got to start doing this yourself. What are you doing? You don't need me.
Is it kind of like take power over your own house kind of deal where you have to sort of do it yourself, because it's like you're the man of your own home or whatever? Is it sort of something like that? Oh, yeah. He disagreed with me right away. See? But no, I always wondered about that too. It's like that's another thing that they put in a lot of movies is you tell the demon or whatever that's possessing you or your home to be gone, that you're the only one that can do that, because you're sort of the man of the house, the household, the family, if you will. Is that sort of a true thing, or what are your thoughts on that, Armor? I'll wait until you get done calming down the dog. I'll read some comments here. Sadgie says, has cutting always been a thing teens do, or is it something that is new to our culture? I wonder. Well, that's a good question, because I think it's always been around. It's always been something that they've done, but we've never really. We hear about it now more than ever because of news and internet and all that stuff, and you see it more often. But I think it's something that actually has been sort of done, like Armor said about that guy that was in the Bible. He was cutting himself and stuff. So, I have a feeling, since that being said, that it's always been that way.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
My whole sound settings went totally insane.
Oh no!
I couldn't hear you. My mic quit working, so I have no clue what you was just saying.
Oh man! Oh.
Or what you may have just asked.
Well, I'll repeat myself. I am getting a weird echo though.
Yeah, I had to take the headset off and go back to speakers. I don't know what's going on.
But the question I had was, is it sort of like a thing? Like, I know we do anything we do is through the power of Jesus, and I get that, but is it sort of like a thing that we have to do ourselves? Like, let's say, for example, your house gets possessed and the possession's running rapid over your whole family, and you being the man of the house. Now, I'm not saying this to sound sexist or anything like that, but you are the man of the house. And is it something, your responsibility as the man of the house, to sort of cast out these demons, or is that just something that Hollywood predicts in most movies. What's your take on that?
Well, again, you could get into you're immediately called sexist when you start talking about this kind of stuff because people don't like the way father sets stuff up for whatever reason. But absolutely, the man is the man of the house. He's the spiritual leader. Okay? The woman is subject to the man. The children are subject to the both. The man is subject to Jesus. It's just the way it is. You can't. That's the way Father set it up to be. It doesn't mean the man's better than the woman or the woman isn't equal with the man. It has nothing to do with it. Father is a orderly father, so there has to be order. Man's the head, woman's the head of the house. Man's the spiritual head. Woman's the helper, which is equal to the man. Without the woman, I mean, we needed help. That's why woman was, it ain't like we do it on our own. But to answer the question shortly, yes, man is the one responsible. That's what it means to be the head. It isn't necessarily a great thing. The man is the one responsible for the spirituality of his house. So you have to, as the man of the house, you're responsible to pray, you're responsible to keep the evil out, you're responsible to come against that kind of stuff. You're responsible for your woman, for your children, for everything about your household. So yes, to make it short and simple, yes, man is the one responsible for keeping his house clean. But the woman helps in keeping the house clean. It isn't,
Right.
the man's the one who's supposed to be studying the word. The man is one who's supposed to be in touch. The man's the one responsible for all that. Now, nowadays, women still need the personal relationship with Jesus. See, that's what I mean. This could get twisted into things that I'm not saying. We all need a personal relationship with Jesus. We all need to follow the Spirit when it tells us something. But as the spiritual head of the house, the man, if my wife comes to me and said, the Spirit told me to do this, I would not stop her from doing what the Spirit told her to do. You see what I'm saying? Because first of all, I should be spiritual enough and have enough discernment to know it's true. So why would I stop a work of the Spirit? So we each have our own relationship, but the man is the one that's going to be held responsible for his house. That's the whole reason of them trying to break up what they call the nuclear family. And that's why when you see all these fatherless homes, it usually doesn't end up well. Because women just aren't equipped to be the father and the mother. They do the best they can do. Men aren't equipped to be the father and the mother. We're equipped to do it together. We need us both. We need the mother and the father. So I'm not saying a motherless home is just as bad as a fatherless home. They're both bad. It's a two-person home. And that's why the enemy has successfully pretty much destroyed what they call a nuclear family. A mother, a father living together happily with children. No, now it's men and men, women and women, just the dude, just the women. It don't work. It makes everything so much harder. It gives the enemy so much more footing. It wasn't meant to be that way. It's never meant to be that way. And it don't work that way. The proof's in the pudding. Yeah, there's exceptions to every rule, but for the most part, it don't end well. The children don't end well. Nothing ends well.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. It's been a good discussion here today. I've certainly enjoyed the company. I certainly enjoyed the discussion. I feel like my mind and spirit have been filled sort of with knowledge and with more understanding than what I had before going into this conversation. And I think I'm better for it, man. There's a lot of questions that I have, and I know that a lot of the questions we all have, we should seek the Spirit for the questions that we do have. But there's nothing wrong in my view in going to a human such as yourself, um, to say, hey, can you answer my questions and this and that? And you say, yes, I can answer your questions. However, and I said, um, however, the questions that you have answered to me here today and for whenever I ask you a question, all comes through the Holy Spirit. I want people to understand that, you know?
And like I always say, you still have to take it to the Spirit yourself. I mean, we are supposed to help each other out, answer questions, but we got to be willing. Like you asked me a question a bit ago, I don't remember which one it was now, but I was like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can't be just. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. I haven't asked the Spirit that yet. I don't know. I never cared. I never went down that road, so I can't answer that question. But if it's something I've already studied or prayed about or studied on, I can answer the question. You know what I mean? And I'm happy to answer the question. But I still tell everybody, you still got to take it to your spirit yourself. You know, don't trust me. Even though I know what I'm telling you is true, I believe it came from the Spirit to me. I'm not out here trying to lie to anybody. But I still say, don't trust me. Don't trust anyone. The Spirit will tell you the same thing I tell you. I'm not afraid of saying what I say because I tell everybody, take it to the Spirit. He'll back me up. I know he will because that's what he told me. And the Spirit ain't going to tell me one thing and you another thing. Now, we do have different jobs, different gifts, and different things to do for the kingdom. So you may not need to know something I might need to know. And I might not need to know something you might need to know. The Spirit might reveal something to you that isn't meant for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's specific for the job you have to do in the kingdom. And vice versa. So some things I won't talk about just because the Spirit may have said, don't talk about that. That's not really for everybody. And some things I'll gladly share because I know it's information that's right there that we all need. You know, like the devil thing and the needing a name. We all need to know that. No, you don't need a name. You need one name. It's Jesus Christ. It's the only name you need to know to drive out demons and all that stuff. That's the only name you need to know. You don't need their name. Don't need their rank. Don't need none of that crap. You just tell them to get out in Jesus' name. You're not welcome here. Move along. Out. And you do it. But you got to believe it. You got to, I mean, you can't. You have to be born again. You have to know there's power in the name. Again, you can't just do it because I said to do it. You've got to know you can do it. Like I said, that's why I gave the example of the lady who calls me every few months about, I need help with this battle. I need help with that battle. And I'm like, I'll be glad to help you, dear, but sooner or later you've got to realize you can do this. You know what I mean? And she's a prayer warrior. She knows the Lord. I know she does. We've known each other for years.
Mm-hmm.
She's a true believer. But she still don't even comprehend the power that she got. Just tell them to go. Just tell them to go. So that's what I mean. You have to know it. You have to believe it. It has to be in you. And it's in her. And even when it's in them, sometimes they don't know it. And there's nothing wrong with calling for help. But to truly help, I have to tell you, you have the same exact ability. We all have the same ability when it comes to the enemy. We can all cast him out. We can all tell him to hit the road. Now, we're not all called for deliverance. That don't mean we all walk around looking for a demon to cast out. That's a whole different thing. But in our home, in our life, we have the power to stop the enemy in his tracks when he comes against us, no matter what it is. Whether it's lying or cheating or porn or drugs or whatever. Whatever it is. Just tell it to get out. Cancer, tell it to get out. Why you want to believe the doctor? The doctor ain't God. I don't care what the x-ray says. I don't care what any of that says. It don't mean anything. It's worldly crap. Tell it to get out. I mean, that's the way I do stuff. Now, can I die from cancer? Sure, maybe that's the way I'll be supposed to go someday. I'm
Right.
just saying, just because the doctor tells me I got cancer, I ain't going to do none of his stuff. I ain't going to freak out and start letting them put poison in me. I'm not, cool, thanks for letting me know. I'm going to come home, I'm going to say, get out. You're not welcome here, get out. You know, if this ain't the Father's will, get out. I got stuff to do, I ain't got time to mess with you. If this is the Father's will, so be it. Make it quick. Either way, I'm not going to go to man. and take man's crap for what they think is my cancer. That's the difference between me and most people. And I've watched cancer leave 3 people, and they did do the treatments because they're not really believers. So I prayed for him, and I believed, and I told him to show his glory through them and erase the cancer and blow their minds and all this and that. And 3 people now have come cancer-free that are friends of mine, whether they liked it or not. And I told him, now you see, now I told you the Father's real, because it's all for his glory. And that's why I said, Father, if it's your will, blow their mind. Show them you're real. Blow their mind and get rid of the cancer. My first friend, her doctor said, wow, we don't understand what happened. The stuff's gone. She had throat cancer. She's even talking better now. Then her husband got it. And he had cancer in his lymph nodes, and it was going all throughout his body, and it didn't look good. And I said, that's bull crap. I said, stop believing that crap. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they did their treatments. They do their stuff. They don't have, they do what the doctor tells them. So they went through the radiation. They lost their hair, and they got sick, and they did all that. And now he went back, and when it's in your lymph nodes, I guess it's supposed to, that's it. I don't know. I don't pay attention to doctors, but I guess that's a bad one. And normally that never goes away.
Right.
Gone. They're amazed. They don't know what happened. It ain't there anymore. Blew their mind. My other friend, he lives away. He had, I forget what his cancer is. He just called me a week ago. Good news, the cancer's gone. I said, amen, brother. He is a little bit of a believer, so he gets it. But the other 2, I blew that family's mind. Father blew that family's mind. I said, blow their mind. They don't think you're real. Show them you're real. Use me to show them you're real. Because I told him, I said, I'm praying for you, and that stuff's going to go. It's out of here. No. It ain't going to be allowed. We're going to get rid of that, and I'm going to prove to you the Father's who he says he is. You think I'm crazy. You think Jesus ain't real. I'm going to show you he's real. God willing, I'm going to have him get rid of that cancer for you. I mean, I ain't saying it right, but they know now that when I talk about my Father, it's real. They never knew that before. They still ain't converted. They still ain't all that. But there's no doubt in their mind now that there's a real Creator out there and there's a real Father. He proved himself to them. That's what it's all about. We don't need, just stop believing the crap. Stop believing all the stuff the world tells you. You'll be much better off. I had a disease called Meniere's disease. It hit so bad, I guess it's been maybe 15 years now, 10 to 15 years ago. I was down for a year. Eating soup once every few days. I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't stand for a year. Till my friends finally drugged me to the hospital because I couldn't stop them. They carried me to the car.
Wow.
And wheeled me into the hospital because I had no strength to stop them anymore because I don't do doctors. And they said I have this weird Meniere's disease, it's called. Very rare. I don't know. It's what they said. I said, thank you. Now I know what it is. So I just started, And I had just started coming back to the Father. I wasn't even really back yet. But even then I was like, no, Father, I don't believe in doctors. I believe in God. He'll heal me. And I wasn't even back yet. This was before I even fell on my face and really repented and started doing what I'm doing now. I still knew, I ain't believing doctors. And boom, it ain't flared up in I don't know how long. And there's no cure, and they don't know what causes it. But it don't flare up. I don't know if it's gone. I don't know. I just know I ain't playing that. I got stuff to do for the Father's kingdom. I ain't got time to be stuck in bed. It ain't happening. Get out. I don't just say this without having done it. It works, man. Father, don't play.
I think this is the first time I've ever heard that story before.
Yeah, probably. I don't think I've told that story too much.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The power of prayer is real, man. I can tell you that I've prayed for stuff time and time again, and I don't always get what I ask for. We're not always meant to get what we ask for. Maybe we're meant to go through something because we're meant to go through it. And maybe it's all part of the Father's plan, and if we're meant to die from something, well, then we're meant to die from that because we're all meant to die. somehow or another. And I think that that's just all part of the plan. But with saying that, it doesn't mean we can't ask for stuff. We can't ask to have a certain disease leave our bodies or something like
Right.
that. Because we definitely can, you
Right,
know.
exactly. And that's why I said it's important, Like I said, if I get cancer, I'm going to tell it, no, you're out. But like I said, that don't mean I ain't going to die of cancer. It might be his will. That's what I'm saying. Just have faith and pray. But don't lose faith if it don't happen. You might be having to go through that for a reason, like Heber said. That's what most people do. Oh, well, you said it was real, and I prayed and I believed, and it's been months and nothing's happening. That don't mean Father didn't hear you, and that don't mean he don't care. It just means you're supposed to be going through what you're going through. He's still with you. Still keep praying. Still keep having hope until the moment you die. That's what it's all about. Don't give in to it. Don't lose the faith. Even if you don't see the result. What did Jesus say? Blessed is him who hath believed and never seen.
Yeah.
That verse that's been my verse since I came back. That verse has always stuck in my head. I don't care if I see a single answer to any of my prayers. I know this is real. I know.
Yeah.
Father, I know it's real. Nothing will change my mind. I don't care if I ever see anything.
Yeah.
Because I know. And that verse has always rung true. Blessed is he who has never seen. I don't care if I never seen. But I have seen. I've seen lots. But I'm saying, it don't matter. Even if I don't see. That ain't going to change a single thing about the fact that it's real.
Yeah. One of my oh, there you go. Thank you. One of my favorite things is where that soldier, what's it, centurion, he says that his not servant, his servant is dying, and he went up to Jesus and asked Jesus if he could heal him, and Jesus said, "Well, come on, I'll come to your house." He goes, "No, no, no. You don't have to come to my house to heal my servant. I know that if only you say the word, he will be healed." And a few minutes later, here comes somebody running up to him. He goes, "So and so, come on home, man. Your servant's been healed." And the guy with a tear in his eye looked at Jesus and said, "Thank you." And I don't know if he had a tear in his eye or not, but he said, "Thank you." And Jesus said, "See, look at this man. This man's faith has healed his servant." That's one of my favorites. I have many favorites, but that's just one of my favorite scriptures of the Bible, man. You there?
Yeah, sorry I was filling my coffee. And you got that a little bit wrong, but I know what you mean.
Oh, well, please do correct me.
Yeah, there's even a greater thing happened there. The guy, like you said, it was a Roman centurion. He came to Jesus. My servant's sick. Can you heal him? Jesus said, sure, let's go. He says, oh, I'm not even worthy to have you come to my house. I'm a Roman officer. I know if I tell my troops to do what they're supposed to do, they'll do it instantly. And I know you're the Son of God. If you say for him to be healed, he'll be healed instantly. It's basically, again, paraphrasing, not reading from Scripture.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus said, no greater faith have I seen. And he's talking to the Jewish people and his disciples at that time, mostly. He says, I have never seen a greater faith in all of Israel than this man right here. He said, go your way, your servant is healed. And as the guy was heading home, and if you get deeper into it, they figure he lived a couple days away, blah, 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 it don't matter. But as he was heading home, his other servants from his house had met him on the road back. And they said, he's been healed. And it might have been his son, not a servant. I don't know. I'd have to look up the story. And he said, what time was he healed? What time did this happen? And they said, oh, about 2 o'clock yesterday. Now, again, I'm paraphrasing. They said the third hour or whatever. Right. They didn't talk like we do. Oh, at about 2 o'clock yesterday. And he goes, wow, that's exactly the moment in time when Jesus said, go on home, he's healed. So a little bit deeper than all that.
Yeah.
The moment Jesus said it, clean miles away, it happened. And it blew the Roman centurion's mind away.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so.
Well, hey, with that being said, we've grew quite. The chat is hopping and the room is bopping. I was wondering if you would ever so humbly do a final shout out, and maybe, just maybe, we can tie a bow around this present and send it off to the North Pole. What do you say?
All right, good by me.
Okay, cool.
All right, we got Go-Kart Bob, Tobin Schwing, Lothar 900, Screw Up, Sagittarically Speaking was in the house, probably still here, I'm sure. Happy Feet Gal was hanging out with us. I hope you enjoy the channel. Thank you very much for your interest. Michael Fontaine.
Michael Fontaine.
Huh.
Michael Fontaine.
And I think, and System Failure popped in the very first thing, but he hasn't talked the whole time, so I don't think he's still here.
No.
I think that's everybody.
All right. Cool. Did you mention, and I'll say his name the way I like to say it, Lothar 900?
Well, yes, I did. With a wrench.
Oh, okay, cool. So I guess, with all this being said, man, I just here's my final word. Okay, this is my final word. Armor. I enjoyed doing the show with you, and I hope we can do this again more often, because this kind of stuff right here is just so much more spiritual lifting to me in my eyes, and so much more can be said, and there's so much knowledge that I get filled with when we have these kind of chats, and I do appreciate you being here and enlightening me with all this good stuff, and I hope that our audience got something from it as well. And that's my final thought, sir. Did you have anything to add to that?
No, not really. Just glad we did the show. And yeah, this is what I like to do. This is my desire. I love doing Shifty Sundays, and I like doing the Freak Easy, and I like doing the other live shows where we talk about who knows what, and people call in. But man, this is what I'm all about. This is what bring me spiritual. Let's talk about the Lord. Let's talk about Jesus. That's what I like talking about. That's all I really care to talk about. Sure, I'll talk about other things. I'm a sociable guy. I get interested in all kind of crazy stuff, just like anybody else. And I'll research and I talk. But this is my desire. This is my path. This is what I like talking about. Purely 100% spiritual stuff. I don't care what it is. If it has to do with Jesus, or spiritual, or demons, or angels, whatever. That's what I like talking about more than anything. I enjoy talking about the other stuff. I love talking about this stuff.
Awesome, and more awesome. And I'm not trying to single anybody out or anything like that, but Sagittarically Speaking, if you would keep your eyes open long enough, maybe you don't drift off to sleep, you can come backstage and hang out with us for a while. That'd be kind of cool. Anyway, with that being said, this has been one heck of a show for all of us here at, I don't even know what to call this. It's not a regular show, but and all of us here at arming ourselves with spirituality. There we go. That's what I'll call it. I'd just like to say good night, everybody, and we will see, hopefully, most of you on Taco Tuesday. Good night, everybody. Why did I do that laugh at the end? That was weird.
Who knows?
What's that?
I said, who knows? You're weird, my brother. That's why we love you. Carry on. Okay. Play us to the desktop, Phil.
That's great.
This is from Phil's solo album, by the way. Take it away, Phil. Bye.